If you are planning to buy your first home in Scotland, there is key mistakes that you could make as a first-time buyer. And today I'm going to recap on these mistakes that you would be wanting to avoid. So the first thing that you need to do is to understand your budget. Not understanding your budget is going to set you back. You need to establish a realistic budget, something that you can work with on a monthly basis. So understanding what the monthly costs will be for the mortgage, gas and electric costs, home insurance, or everything that is going to go into your daily spending or monthly spending, so that you can see what your budget is actually going to look like when you own your new home. You need to understand what you can afford to spend each month. And that's the first point when it comes to affordability, but also your budget plays a part in the sense that how much you can actually borrow. You need to understand how much a lender's actually going to give you. So that's the two key parts to budgeting, is knowing what you can afford to spend, so making sure that you're doing a proper budget planner, know how much you can afford to put down as a deposit, and understand what you're going to be able to borrow from a lender, because sometimes they're not aligned. Sometimes a lender will give you more than what you want to pay. Sometimes you'll have an idea in mind and a lender's not willing to match that. So it's important that these two things are met in order to make progress when looking at a mortgage. It's important not just to assume that because you're paying something in rent, that automatically you're going to be able to afford the mortgage. The next thing that I see is there's not enough research getting done in the market, which could cause potential issues further down the line. It's not understanding the different property types. So you're looking for a flat, you're looking for a house. Is it a semi-detached or a detached house? Is it a terraced house? Understanding the type of property that you're going to buy is going to impact things as well. So if you buy let's say, for example, you're buying a ground floor flat, and you've got someone up above you and they are walking about and you can hear them. Take these kind of things into consideration. Or if you're in the top floor flat, is it possible that you could be have access to the roof? There's lots of things that you need to be considering when researching the market and the ideal property. Understanding the location's key as well. The last thing that you want to do is go buying in a location where the transport links aren't great, especially if that's important to you. If the schooling system isn't that great, or there isn't any local schools, or even just as simple as there's no local shops, there's no swing parks or anything like that for kids. Have a look at these things when taking that into consideration. The next thing is making sure that you're getting the right kind of solicitor. Depending on your circumstances and the property that you're looking to buy, that could dictate the lender. The last thing that you want is to be limiting your choice of lenders because of the solicitor that you're using. Sometimes a solicitor could turn around and say, don't use X, Y, and Z lenders because we're not on their panel. That's going to restrict you, and it's going to limit you to what you can actually get out there in the market. What you should be looking for is a solicitor who's not only going to work alongside you, but work alongside the broker and give you access to every lender that's out there, whether directly through them or whether through a partner solicitor firm, which is also possible. But when barriers start happening at this end, it can cause potential problems further down the line. Also, how to understand how a solicitor actually works could be key. Some solicitors are going to wait right until the very end of the process before they pick up your mortgage case. That can cause potential delays as well, because they're not looking at it for the best part of 6 weeks or 8 weeks, when it's taking them all that time to encounter potential issues, when these could have been caught at the very start. So I would suggest as well, get a solicitor that's not going to wait until the end to start their work. They're going to start it right at the start of the process. Make sure that they're working alongside the bank or the broker to avoid any potential delays at the back end. Viewing the property properly also is something that could catch you out. Consider an upgraded survey. So home reports are great as they give you an indication as to the general condition of the property, but consider an upgraded survey to give you a full overview of everything, and look out for things like structural damage, dampness, electrical or plumbing issues. These kind of things can cause issues further down the line. And don't forget to take a checklist with you. So go through the home report, make sure that you're taking the list with you to catch out any key problematic areas. Don't expect the estate agent to point these issues out to you. Estate agents, don't forget, are there to help the seller maximise the amount of money that they're going to be left with at the end of the sale. They're there to show you about the house and not to hide these things from you, but they're not exactly going to point them out to you. So take your own checklist and keep your eyes open for any potential issues that can crop up. On average, people spend more time shopping for a car than they do for a house, which that is wrong. So make sure that you're spending enough time in the property to fully understand what the property is, any potential issues with it, to avoid complications further down the line. And the final thing that I'll tell you about is be aware of hidden costs. So often what could happen is if you're looking at a home report and it says that there's a structural issue or there's a dampness issue, it's going to cost you money to get an additional survey done on it. It's also going to cost you money to get these things fixed. Also, let's not forget about land tax. So if you've been given a bill from a solicitor, just double check that the land tax on it's correct. Ask them to double check it. Because a few instances I've seen where solicitors have sent out the land tax, but it's been wrong. So making sure that that's key. And then don't forget the cost of moving. The week before or the month before you move in, you might be thinking about, right, I'm going to get vans to help me move. I'm going to need to possibly put things into storage. Make sure you're taking these kind of things into consideration as well. But I hope you found this useful. As always, if you do, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you've got any comments, feel free to leave them. Cheers.